You've been hustling, grinding, and pushing yourself beyond limits. But what if I told you that your next big breakthrough comes not from doing more, but from doing less? It might sound crazy, but the real power is in stepping back and letting things happen on their own. In a world that celebrates action, it's the silence and the pause that hold the key to your next level. Do nothing after this and watch everything fall into place. Sometimes it's about allowing the universe to align for you instead of forcing your way through every door. The hardest part is trusting the process. But when you do, you'll see opportunities unfold effortlessly. Don't rush it, let it flow. This moment is all about releasing the grip and watching the magic happen. Are you ready to step back and let life do the heavy lifting for you? Keep reading, because the path you've been searching for might just reveal itself when you least expect it. What if I told you that the relentless striving, the constant pushing, the endless strategizing, what if that's actually the very thing holding you back? What if the secret to having everything you desire, to seeing your world align in ways you can't even imagine right now, isn't about doing more, but about a very specific kind of doing nothing? Now I know what you're thinking. Do nothing? That sounds lazy. That sounds irresponsible. How will anything ever get done? And I hear you. Our world screams at us from every corner. Hustle, grind, achieve, conquer. We're conditioned to believe that effort equals outcome, that more action always leads to more success. But what if that's only half the story? What if there's a profound power in stillness, in allowing, in stepping back, so that life itself can step forward on your behalf? This isn't about apathy or resignation. Far from it. This is about a deep, intelligent, and incredibly potent form of non-action. It's about understanding the subtle energies that govern our reality and learning to work with them, not against them. Today, we're going to unravel this. We're going to explore what it truly means to do nothing after you've set certain things in motion, and then to simply watch with a sense of calm knowing as everything falls into place. Stay with me, because the insights we're about to uncover, especially the final piece of this puzzle, could fundamentally shift the way you experience your entire existence. This isn't just another self-help talk. This is an invitation to a different state of being. Don't miss what's coming. Let's be honest. How often have you found yourself pushing a boulder uphill? You strain, you sweat, you pour every ounce of your energy into making something happen, only for it to roll back down, or worse, to achieve it and find yourself utterly exhausted and unfulfilled. This is the hallmark of forceful action born from a place of fear, lack, or a desperate need to control. We live in a culture that glorifies this struggle. We wear our busyness like a badge of honor. "I'm so swamped," we exclaim almost proudly, as if being overwhelmed is a sign of importance. But what is this constant doing to us? It creates tension, not just in our muscles, but in our energetic field. It disconnects us from our intuition, that quiet inner voice that always knows the most effortless path. When we're constantly doing, we're often operating from the ego, the part of us that believes it knows best, that it has to manage every single detail. Think about a time you tried too hard. Maybe it was a relationship you desperately wanted to work, a job interview you over-prepared for to the point of stiffness, or a creative project you choked the life out of with perfectionism. What was the underlying feeling? Often it's a subtle or not so subtle sense of "this isn't enough," or "I'm not enough," or "if I don't make this happen, it won't happen." This is the voice of limitation. Forceful action is like trying to steer a ship in a storm by frantically yanking the wheel left and right. You're reacting, you're panicking, and you're likely making the situation worse. It's exhausting, and it rarely leads to the calm waters you seek. The universe, life, whatever you want to call it, operates on principles of flow and harmony. When we try to force our will against that current, we create friction, resistance, and ultimately disappointment. We end up feeling like victims of circumstance, wondering why things are so hard, when in reality, we're often the ones making them hard by our very approach. Consider the simple act of trying to fall asleep. The more you try to sleep, the more you fret about not sleeping, the more elusive sleep becomes. It's only when you let go, when you release the effort, that sleep naturally comes. This principle applies to so much more than just our nightly rest. It applies to our dreams, our goals, our relationships, our very sense of well-being. The tyranny of forceful action keeps us trapped in a cycle of effort and diminishing returns, blind to the more graceful way that awaits. Now, when I say do nothing, it's crucial to understand what I don't mean. I don't mean sitting on your couch, eating chips, and expecting $1 million to magically appear. I don't mean abdicating responsibility for your life or becoming a passive bystander. That's not wisdom, that's negligence. True non-doing, often referred to in ancient philosophies as wu-wei, is far more nuanced. It's not about the absence of action, but about the absence of struggle-filled, anxious, ego-driven action. It's about action that arises from a place of stillness, clarity, and alignment. It's effortless action or action without force. Think of a master archer. They don't just yank the bowstring and let the arrow fly wildly. There's a period of intense focus, of alignment, of becoming one with the bow, the arrow, and the target. They draw the bow, they aim, they breathe. And then there's a release. In that moment of release, they are, in a sense, doing nothing. The arrow flies true, not because of last-minute frantic adjustments, but because of everything that came before and the trust in the process. So, doing nothing in the context we're discussing happens after certain essential steps have been taken. What are these steps? Clarity of intention. You must know what you desire. Not in a vague, wishy-washy way, but with a clear, heartfelt understanding of what you wish to experience or create. This isn't about rigid attachment to a specific outcome, but about setting a direction for your energy. Inspired initial action. Often there are practical, grounded steps that are necessary. If you want to grow a garden, you must plant the seeds. If you want a new job, you might need to update your resume and apply. These actions should feel inspired, not forced. They should come from a sense of, this feels like the right next step, rather than, I have to do this or else. Emotional alignment. This is key. You need to cultivate the feeling of already having what you desire. Not in a delusional way, but by tapping into the emotions of joy, gratitude, peace, and fulfillment that your desired outcome would bring. This tunes your energetic frequency. Once these elements are in place, the clear intention, the initial inspired actions, and the emotional resonance, then comes the profound art of doing nothing. This nothing is an active state of allowing, trusting, and observing. It's about releasing the need to control the how and the when. It's about stepping back and letting the universe orchestrate the details, which it can do far more magnificently than our limited conscious minds ever could. This non-doing is a space of profound power where synchronicities can occur and opportunities can arrive in unexpected ways. It's a vibrant stillness, not a dead emptiness. And as we delve deeper, you'll start to see how this non-doing isn't just a passive waiting game, but an active cultivation of an inner state that literally magnetizes your desires towards you. But how do you silence the inner critic that screams for more action during this period of allowing? That's a crucial piece, and we're getting to it. Imagine you're holding a beach ball underwater. It takes enormous effort, doesn't it? Your muscles are tense, you're straining, you're fighting the natural buoyancy of the ball. That beach ball represents your desire, and the effort to hold it down is your resistance, your doubts, your fears, your impatience, your attempts to micromanage. What happens when you finally let go? The ball doesn't just stay submerged, it shoots up to the surface effortlessly, powerfully. This is the physics of letting go. When you release resistance, you allow the natural upward momentum of your desires, which are aligned with the flow of life, to manifest. Resistance is any thought, belief, or emotion that contradicts your desire. It's too hard. I'm not good enough. It will never happen for me. I need to control this or it will all fall apart. When is it going to happen? Why isn't it here yet? These are all forms of energetic constriction. They are like kinks in a hose, preventing the water, your desired outcome, from flowing freely. When you are in a state of resistance, you are essentially telling the universe, no, thank you, I don't really want that, or I don't trust you to deliver. Allowance, on the other hand, is the state of being open, receptive, and trusting. It's understanding that once you've done your part, clear intention, inspired initial action, emotional alignment, the rest is not up to your frantic doing. Allowance is saying, I've planted the seed, I've watered it, and now I trust the sun and the soil to do their work. It's knowing that your desire is on its way, in its own perfect timing and in its own perfect way. This doesn't mean you become blind to opportunities or ignore intuitive nudges. Allowance often makes you more sensitive to these things. When you're not clouded by anxiety and the need to control, you can hear the whispers of guidance more clearly. You might suddenly feel an urge to call an old friend, visit a certain place, or read a particular book, and that action, born from a place of calm allowance rather than desperate striving, turns out to be a crucial stepping stone. The state of allowance feels like peace. It feels like relief. It feels like faith, not in a religious sense necessarily, but faith in the inherent intelligence and benevolence of life. When you are in allowance, you are energetically aligned with the solution, with the manifestation. You become a vibrational match to what you desire. Trying to force things while in a state of resistance is like trying to tune a radio to your favorite station by smashing the dials. Allowance is gently turning the knob until the signal comes in clear and strong. It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything. One of the biggest obstacles to doing nothing and allowing things to fall into place is our own mind, specifically the part of it that loves to overthink, worry, and cling to the illusion of control. This is the inner saboteur. It's the voice that chatters relentlessly, dissecting every possibility, replaying past failures, and catastrophizing about the future. Why do we do this? Often it's a misguided attempt to protect ourselves. The mind thinks that if it can anticipate every problem, it can prevent bad things from happening. If it can control every variable, it can guarantee success. But this is a profound illusion. Life is inherently uncertain, and the more we try to control it, the more anxious and powerless we feel. Overthinking is like spinning your wheels in mud. You're expending a tremendous amount of energy, but you're not going anywhere. In fact, you're probably digging yourself deeper. When you're caught in a loop of worry, you're not problem solving, you're problem rehearsing. You're energetically feeding the very outcomes you're trying to avoid. Consider a seed you've planted. If you keep digging it up every day to see if it's sprouting, to check if it's okay, to make sure it's growing, what happens? You disrupt the natural process. You introduce stress to the delicate system. You might even kill the seedling. Your desire is like that seed. Once you've planted your intention and taken the initial inspired actions, your constant mental digging, your worry, your impatience, your attempts to force it actually hinders its growth. The illusion of control is particularly seductive. We plan, we strategize, we try to manipulate circumstances and people, and sometimes it seems to work in the short term. But this kind of control is always fragile and requires constant maintenance. It's exhausting. True power comes not from controlling life, but from aligning with its flow. It comes from trusting that there is a larger intelligence at play, an intelligence that can see the bigger picture in a way our limited minds cannot. When you do nothing in the way we're discussing, you are consciously choosing to step out of the hamster wheel of overthinking. You are making a decision to trust. This doesn't mean you shut off your brain. It means you redirect its focus. Instead of worrying about the how, you focus on maintaining your inner state of peace and positive expectation. You gently guide your thoughts away from what if it goes wrong towards what if it goes incredibly right in ways I haven't even imagined. This is where the practice of mindfulness becomes invaluable, learning to observe your thoughts without getting entangled in them. And if you're wondering how to actually tame that wild mind so you can rest in this state of trusting non-doing, well, the techniques for that are surprisingly simple, yet profoundly effective. We're going to touch upon those very soon, because mastering your inner dialogue is fundamental to letting everything fall into place. So, how do we quiet that chattering mind, that inner saboteur, and cultivate the stillness necessary for doing nothing effectively? It begins with understanding that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. This distinction is revolutionary. The mind is a tool. It's designed to think, to solve problems, to analyze. But when it's left unchecked, it can run rampant, creating endless loops of anxiety and doubt. Cultivating stillness is about learning to gently unhook from this mental stream to create a space of quiet presence within yourself. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through the practice of mindfulness or meditation. And don't let those words intimidate you. It doesn't mean you have to sit in a lotus position for hours chanting though you can if you want to. At its core, mindfulness is simply about paying attention to the present moment without judgment. You can start with your breath. Just notice the sensation of the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then leaving your body. When your mind wanders, and it will, that's what minds do, gently bring your attention back to your breath. Each time you do this, you are strengthening your muscle of presence. Another simple practice is to engage your senses fully. What do you see right now? Notice the colors, the shapes, the light. What do you hear? Listen to the sounds around you, near and far, without labeling them as good or bad. What do you feel? The sensation of your clothes on your skin, the chair beneath you, the temperature of the air. This act of anchoring yourself in the present moment pulls you out of the mental maelstrom of past regrets and future worries. Why is this stillness so important for allowing things to fall into place? Clarity. When the mental waters are still, you can see to the bottom. Solutions, insights, and intuitive guidance arise more easily in a calm mind. Reduced resistance. A still mind is less likely to generate resistant thoughts of doubt and fear. It's easier to maintain that state of allowance. Energetic alignment. Stillness and presence have a high vibrational frequency. When you cultivate this state, you become a more powerful magnet for your desires. Access to intuition. Your intuition, that deep inner knowing, speaks in whispers. You can only hear it when the mental noise subsides. This doing nothing is, in large part, about cultivating this inner garden of stillness. It's about weeding out the thoughts of worry and impatience and nurturing the flowers of trust and peace. It's an active internal process, even if it looks like inaction externally. You are tending to your inner state, which is the true creative powerhouse. Don't aim for a perfectly silent mind. That's an unrealistic goal for most of us. Aim for becoming more aware of your thoughts and consciously choosing not to engage with the ones that don't serve you. This is a practice, a skill that develops over time. And as you get better at it, you'll find that the periods of doing nothing become less about anxious waiting and more about peaceful, confident expectation. We've touched on intention, but let's dive deeper because it's the engine that drives this whole process. Your intention is the clear, focused desire you send out into the universe. It's the what you want to experience. Without a clear intention, your energy is scattered, like a light bulb without a lampshade, diffusing its light in all directions without much impact. A focused intention is like a laser beam, powerful and precise. So the first step before you do nothing is to get crystal clear on your intention. Write it down. Feel it in your heart. Imagine it as already real. What would it feel like? Who would you be? What emotions would you experience? This isn't just wishful thinking. This is the act of impressing your desire upon the fabric of reality. But here's the crucial part, the part where so many people stumble. Once you have set your powerful, clear intention, you must release your attachment to how it will manifest. This is where the doing nothing truly begins to work its magic. Our logical minds love to figure out the how. We want to map out every step, control every variable, and foresee every contingency. But the universe has an infinitely more complex and creative way of orchestrating events than we can ever conceive. When we try to dictate the how, we limit the possibilities. We put the universe in a tiny box of our own making. Think of ordering food at a restaurant. You tell the waiter what you want, your intention. I'd like the grilled salmon. You don't then go into the kitchen to tell the chef how to cook it, what temperature to use, which pan to select. You trust the chef and the kitchen staff to handle the how. You simply relax and await your meal. Releasing the how is an act of profound trust. It's acknowledging that there are forces and intelligence at play that are far greater than your conscious understanding. When you let go of the need to control the process, you open yourself up to synchronicities, unexpected opportunities, and solutions that you could never have engineered on your own. This doesn't mean you sit back and do absolutely nothing if an inspired idea or a clear next step presents itself. The key word is inspired. If an action feels light, expansive, and comes from a place of inner knowing, then by all means take it. But if it feels forced, anxious, or driven by a need to make something happen, then it's likely your ego trying to take back control of the how. In those moments, the most powerful action is often to return to stillness, to reaffirm your trust, and to do nothing, but maintain your state of peaceful allowance. The universe is always conspiring in your favor, but it needs your clear intention and your trusting non-interference in its methods. When you master this balance-focused intention followed by a surrendered letting go of the specific pathway, you unlock a creative power that is truly astonishing. And if you think this is powerful, wait until you truly grasp how to recognize the subtle signals the universe sends you during this period of non-doing. That's when the magic really starts to become visible. Once you've set your intention, taken any initial inspired actions, and settled into that state of trusting, non-doing, something fascinating begins to happen. The universe starts to communicate with you. It sends you signs, synchronicities, and intuitive nudges that confirm you're on the right path or gently guide you if a course correction is needed. Learning to recognize and interpret these subtle messages is a key skill in watching everything fall into place. What are synchronicities? Coined by psychologist Carl Jung, they are meaningful coincidences, events that seem related in a significant way, yet have no obvious causal connection. Perhaps you're thinking about an old friend and they suddenly call you out of the blue. Or you're pondering a specific problem and you overhear a conversation or see a billboard that provides the exact insight you needed. You might see repeating numbers, find a feather in an unusual place, or notice a particular song playing everywhere you go, all related to your intention. These are not mere random occurrences. They are winks from the universe, reassurances that your intention has been heard and that things are moving behind the scenes. When you're in that state of allowance, your awareness expands and you become more attuned to these subtle signals. Intuitive nudges are another form of guidance. These are the gut feelings, the sudden inspirations, the quiet knowings that prompt you to do something or avoid something. It might be a sudden urge to take a different route home, which then helps you avoid a traffic jam or leads you to an unexpected encounter. It might be a strong feeling to reach out to someone or a sudden idea for a solution to a challenge. The key to recognizing these signs and nudges is to be present and observant, without actively looking for them with an anxious mind. If you're desperately hunting for signs, you'll likely misinterpret things or become frustrated. Instead, maintain your calm, trusting state. The signs will appear naturally. When a synchronicity or an intuitive nudge occurs, acknowledge it. Feel a sense of gratitude. See it as confirmation that you are co-creating with the universe. Sometimes these nudges will prompt a small, inspired action. If the action feels light, easy, and aligned, then take it. It's part of the unfolding process. This isn't forceful doing, it's responsive flowing. For example, you've set an intention to find a new creative collaborator. You're in your doing nothing phase, trusting the universe. Then you suddenly feel a strong urge to attend a local art fair you hadn't planned on visiting. You go, and there you meet someone whose skills and vision perfectly complement yours. That was an intuitive nudge leading to an inspired action. You didn't force it, you flowed with it. It's also important not to overanalyze every little thing. Trust your discernment. Some things are just coincidences, but when a pattern emerges or when an event feels particularly charged with meaning and directly relates to your intention, pay attention. These are the breadcrumbs the universe leaves for you, guiding you along the path of least resistance towards your desires. The more you practice this art of doing nothing and staying open, the more fluent you will become in this silent language of the cosmos. It's like learning to read a new kind of map, one that leads to destinations more wonderful than you could have planned with your conscious mind alone. And understanding this language is absolutely vital, because the most crucial information, the part that ties all of this together into a truly transformative practice, is what we need to explore next. Don't go anywhere. The culmination of this journey is where the real power lies.